Welcome back and thanks for starting off. It is Monday. It is the first full week of June, and what a beautiful forecast we are seeing. Not necessarily June temperatures on today's date in our weather history. Back in 2002, a record setting that still stands, 91 degrees. We're a little off that mark today. Beautiful outside. That weather will continue throughout much of your forecast, hovering right around 80 degrees, and the slightest and only chance of some showers tomorrow night, and there's not much oomph to it. So we'll talk about that in more detail, but it's going to be a short and very sweet forecast in just a few moments. Several arrests from over the course of the weekend, everything from assault of a police officer to a woman literally going from one side of the roadway to the other with her young child in the vehicle. A woman so high as she wasn't, apparently, says police, aware of whose house she was, a local burglary, and some other information to pass along. An auto accident from the viewing area, a body identified as that of an Eastern Kentucky viewing area man, if you will, and much, much more to discuss. A new week means a new community calendar, and we've got a lot of ground to cover before I leave you for what is going to be a beautiful, picture-perfect Monday evening. It's been a shame to have had an indoor job today. For those of you who've been able to work outside or be outside in any form or fashion, we indeed are jealous. A few things before we get to our local news tonight. First and foremost from the area, 3 new charges, 15 new years for Eric C. Kahn, the former fugitive and Social Security disability lawyer who pleaded guilty in federal court today for his part in scheming to defraud the Social Security Administration of more than $550 million, retaliating against an informant and fleeing, of course, from the custody of the United States. Kahn, who is 58, will be formally sentenced on September the 7th. He, according to an FBI special agent in charge, says that he preyed upon the sick and vulnerable for his personal gain. Rather than face the consequences of his crimes, he chose to flee and attempted to hide from those he had betrayed. Today's plea will ensure that he is now accountable. Also, Special Agent in Charge Jackson spoke of Kahn saying when individuals are approved for certain Social Security benefits, they automatically became entitled to Medicare and Medicaid. And as a result, a large portion of Kahn's fraudulent scheme drained federal health care plans and cheated needy patients out of limited dollars available for those vital taxpayer-funded programs. The plea deal that was reached and to which he pled guilty to those 3 charges today calls for him to spend an additional 15 years in federal prison. That's in addition to the 12 years that he is currently serving right now for the scheme, 15 years now for the escape and other charges, as you heard. Well, 1 down, 1 to go for 2018. I'm talking about election 1 and 2. The primary is over. We're now roughly 23 weeks away from the November election. To give you a little perspective, an election season has already begun here in Sagersville with nonpartisan races on the ballot. Those filing for the offices of mayor, city council, board of education, soil and water conservation, of course, they have until August the 15th to file, and a few already have. And in fact, we have confirmed today that we already have a candidate for mayor of Sagersville, that being former Mayor Stanley Howard, and 2 other candidates thus far have filed for Soil and Conservation District, Kenneth Poorboy Williams and Dallas Patrick. I know it's a bit early, but it's going to heat up rather quickly, and we'll, of course, be with you every step of the election way. I'll be right back with our first of headlines after these messages. Every weekday during lunch at your Sagersville Lee's Famous Recipe for a total of $5. That's $5, taxes and all. You can get our famous chicken sandwich or 2 of our famous chicken biscuits with potato wedges and a drink, or our steak sandwich or 2 steak biscuits with wedges and a drink, or our famous foot-long hot dog with homemade chili, wedges and a drink for $5. That's 5 deliciously awesome deals for only $5. Every weekday from 11 till 2 at your Sagersville Lee's.
We are all human.
There was a body found in Boyd County over the course of the weekend on yesterday, and the coroner and law enforcement were having a hard time identifying the victim. However, today he was identified as a young man at the age of 27 from Louisa. A motorist driving by near the exit ramp on US 23 and I-64 noticed a body lying on or beside the train tracks yesterday. And at around 8:30 yesterday morning, and authorities immediately put out a plea to the public trying to get some response and help identify the victim, as there were no forms of identification apparently on his person. They did have some describing characteristics: his height, his weight, his hair color, things of that nature, tattoos, and for several hours they had no other real leads. But they have now, they being the Boyd County Coroner's Department, and specifically Coroner Mark Hammond, identified the deceased as 27-year-old Kaiser Sanderson. He is a Louisa resident who was found dead on the railroad tracks. The initial coroner's report just says that his injuries were indicative of being struck by a train. As of right now, whether or not there's any foul play or anything of that nature involved, it is still under investigation by the Sheriff's Department of Boyd County and the Kentucky State Police. Authorities are not releasing any other details at this time, only saying that it is an ongoing investigation. And they're still asking for the public's help in regards to anyone who may have seen Kaiser Sanderson in that area, or someone else in or around that area at that time or sometime before. And what appeared to be a non-injury accident, based on the fact that fire personnel from the W.R. Castle Fire and Rescue Department say no one could be found at the scene of this accident. Here in Montgomery County, after what was a busy weekend for fire and EMS in a variety of ways last weekend, this past weekend, from my knowledge, was a pretty quiet one. In Johnson County, however, it was a different story this morning after this accident, sometime around 7 o'clock or just shortly thereafter. That's when the WR Fire and Rescue Department says they were dispatched to a single vehicle accident near Castle Fork on Route 3387. Upon arrival, they found that this truck had obviously left the roadway and struck a tree, and then came to its final resting spot in a field. There was no one in or around the vehicle after an extensive search, however. There were some eyewitnesses that did tell responding EMS and authorities that shortly before their arrival, that being of the EMS and law enforcement, they did see someone they believed to have been the driver leaving the scene and getting into another vehicle. As of last report, Painesville EMS, Johnson County Sheriff's Deputy Terry Tussey, who responded, were still trying to gather some information about the possible identity of the driver and or passengers, and if they sustained any injuries, to which, if they didn't, would be nothing short of a miracle. And many more headlines to come right now. It's a new week and a new community calendar, all brought to you by McGoffin Farm Bureau, with a lot happening this first week of June. Pools open. Ramey Park Pool open Saturday, Monday through Saturdays. Stop by and splash around noon till 5. It's able to be reserved for parties in the evenings Monday through Saturday, 6 to 10, and all day Sunday for parties as well. And the non-published, because it's a seasonal, phone number is 349-5102. I saw it for myself. They were having a ball over there today and a lot of fun in the sun. Join them before the summer's over. It is also going to be over this Thursday, so this will be my last reminder about Vacation Bible School. It started this evening at Syersville First Baptist Church, but kids, you can still get in on it tomorrow and the rest of the week. It's for ages 4 and up. They're running the vans each night. That's at the Syersville First Baptist Church across from the park, 349-6276. Also, starting June the 11th for 13 to 18-year-olds, June the 18th for 10 to 12-year-olds, and June the 25th for 7 to 9-year-olds, Camp Lewis. Space is limited. There's a few spots available, I think maybe in all groups, but you need to call as soon as possible if you want your kid to go to camp and have a ball doing it. Camp Lewis has been around a long time, helping a lot of kids have a lot of summer fun and learn a lot as well. CampLewis.com is where you can go, or 859-516-2909. This Saturday, it's a Father's Day Picking and a Grinning special. This is for all the dads and all the families, all the churches. RSVP if you can at Kearney Free Will Baptist Church. They hope to have a big crowd for their bluegrass gospel show featuring the Jackson family. This is a free show with a free meal. I mean, wow, can't beat that. Nathan Stanley is going to be live in Royalton at the Battlefield Gospel Fest this coming weekend on Saturday, 11 till 8. That's 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Punchin' Half Mountain Battlefield Park. Nathan Stanley, Anointed Hearts, the list goes on and on and on with all of the performers. It is a free event. If you want to set up for sales, vendors, they're $20 in advance, $50 on the day of event, and you can call that number 884-2274. You can call me if you've got a calendar announcement or birthday or anniversary, or get it to me anyway on your screen. It all works the same. Tell me, I'll tell everyone else about it. Turning to this evening's obituary listings brought to you nightly by the McGoffin County Funeral Home, 84-year-old Mary Evelyn Lamaster Ferguson of Tommy Salyer Road in McGoffin County passed away on the 2nd, preceded in death by her husband Earl. She survived by children Mike, Pernell Buck, Tommy, Joe, Christopher Duty, and Anthony Lamaster, Sally Jones, Phyllis Howard, and stepchildren Earl, Michael, and Steve Ferguson, Tina Webb, and Sherry Witten. Visitation is tonight. Services start tomorrow from the McGoffin County Funeral Home. Jimmy Randall Patrick, 70, of East Maple Street, passed away on today's date. When I put this announcement in, I know that arrangements had just been made in his honor, and funeral services are to be this Thursday at 2. I don't have any other details about the arrangements at this hour, but they are to be Thursday at 2. We'll have more tomorrow. We've also learned that services are going to be held, a memorial service in Sagersville this Saturday for Joseph Joe Smithers. That's going to be at 2 o'clock. We'll have complete listings and all the information in regards to any visitation and the services that are going to be held, which I believe will be a graveside service or a memorial service, I think, more importantly or more precisely, Saturday at 2. That information just coming in before airtime. We also, just before airtime, learned of the passing of 86-year-old Eugene Lamaster of Littorals Fork. He passed away earlier today. Arrangements incomplete at this time, but to be announced soon by the McGoffin County Funeral Home. I also learned coming in today that services were actually held earlier today for Judy Stone Williams, 72, of Jackson, Michigan, formerly of McGoffin County. She was the daughter of the late Williard and Althea Stone. She was preceded in death by her husband, Densel, and she survived by her sons, Jeff and Sean Williams. I'll be right back. Foothills Communications brings you the latest in fast fiber internet for home, business, or gaming. HD digital TV with DVR, pay-per-view, and all the favorite channels you're looking for, plus crystal clear communications. Customize your experience today and become a platinum customer simply by signing up for FiberNet phone and TV, and save at least $10 off your monthly bill. The world awaits at Foothills Communications and foothills.net. 6. Several arrests from over the course of the weekend, several examples, in my opinion, that it's just a dangerous place to be, that on our roadways, much if not all of the time, including the first arrest, which resulted in the stop at a traffic safety checkpoint by the Paintsville Police Department, where ultimately the man behind the wheel of the vehicle that pulled up had to be tased and pepper sprayed in order to be taken into custody. 40-year-old Henry T. McCoy went to jail Saturday night. He went to jail after kicking and screaming and being tased twice by authorities because he was just so out of control. The Paintsville Police Department was conducting a traffic safety checkpoint as was advertised Saturday evening around 9:30 or so on Old US 23 when he approached driving a vehicle and immediately showed signs of being under the influence. He was taken, after being taken into custody, taken to the Palby Hall Medical Center for implied consent. But while he was en route in the back of the cruiser, he was able to get his hands, which were cuffed behind him, into the front of him. So authorities then tried to place him back in a cuffed position with his hands back behind his back, but when he did, he just made himself fall to the ground, breaking free from police. They were finally able to get him cuffed again, and then as they were taking him to the hospital, he again tried to get away from authorities and then kicked one of the officers in the shin and then fell to the ground again and lied on his back and refused to roll over on his stomach. They finally used some pepper spray to try to get him under control, and then he got up and took off running from the officers on foot. One of them deployed his taser, then he fell down between a cruiser and an ambulance, and then got up and tried to run again and had to be tased the second time in order to keep him from escaping officers. And he continued to kick and scream and curse the entire time. Finally, they did get him into custody and got him into jail, and the 40-year-old was charged with driving under the influence, escaping the third-degree assault in the third degree of a police officer, menacing, fleeing, and evading police, disorderly conduct, and the list goes on with some traffic infractions as well. He was still in the Big Sandy jail this afternoon. A 27-year-old Shelbyana woman was arrested in Sayersville in McGoffin County by the sheriff's department after being reportedly so high that she was unsure whose home she was at. This was Saturday night after 11 when Officer Brian Tipton with the SO got a call from a resident in the Gun Creek area, I believe. Nevertheless, when he arrived, they found that this woman had been sitting on the porch of a residence when one of the homeowners or a family member came home. She was calling him by the wrong name, asking to see the wrong person who lived there, and was highly under the influence of an intoxicating substance, excluding alcohol, according to the authorities. She couldn't stand still, saying that she saw or knew people from Pike County there in her area, or at the home that she was, but no one matched the description. No one who lived there had any idea as to who she was or why she was there. They also found that she had done some damage to a back door trying to gain entry, causing several $100s worth of damages. She was taken to the Big Sandy Jail and charged with public intoxication of drugs and criminal trespassing in the third degree and criminal mischief in the second for the damage done to the McGoffin County home. I've only got a few limited details on this case. The police citation just doesn't have a great deal of detail, and I've reached out to the department, but we haven't heard back as of yet. But I do know that the McGoffin County Sheriff's Department responded to a call of an attempted burglary. This was Sunday around 4 o'clock in the morning on East Maple Street at a Montgomery residence, where they say that Damian Spears, 33, of Sayersville, tried to break into the back door of a residence and showed signs of being under the influence. He was charged with public intoxication and attempted or burglary in the second degree. Now, how the call came in as to any other details, I don't have them at this time, but Spears remained lodged in the Big Sandy Jail. If we can get some more details, we'll share them with you at a later time. Sunday evening, around 8:45 over the course of the weekend, on Route 7 near the South McGoffin Elementary School, Sheriff's Deputy Brian Tipton from the McGoffin County Department was stationed on the side of Route 7 and saw a vehicle coming out of a curve, and just as it did, it was halfway across the yellow line, then went all the way across into the left lane. He then followed out and pulled out behind the subject, got behind her, and watched the vehicle again cross from one lane to the other and back and forth. He made a traffic stop and then immediately noticed upon making contact with the driver that she was showing signs of being under the influence of drugs, to which were confirmed by failing all field sobriety tests that she was given. She stated that she had taken a Valium the night before. Nevertheless, she also had her 10-year-old son in the vehicle at the time of the stop. After she was taken into custody, the officer found a cut-off straw in the console of the vehicle. One end was pinched off, but there was a trace amount of white powder inside. She also had a metal container in her possession that had 8 pills, a variety of gabapentin and clonazepam as well. Mary Lee Miller, 42, of Royalton, charged with DUI with the aggravated circumstances in regards to having the child in the car, no insurance, endangering the welfare of that child, and possession of a controlled substance in the second degree. And officers only had to go to the courtroom to make an arrest for public intoxication earlier today. This was around 9:41. Gulf County Sheriff's Deputy Neil Adams said that the above subject came to court high, under the influence of drugs, was nodding in and out at times. She was also showing other signs of being impaired and failed all field sobriety tests and was taken to jail right there and charged with public intoxication. 39-year-old Pauletta Puckett of Sayersville. And this arrest took place Saturday night about 20 till 12 when Officer Mitchell with the Paintsville PD saw a vehicle pull into the Shell station without giving a signal. The driver wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and the tags on the car were the improper ones. Jeremy R. Burchett, 42, of Paintsville, said that he couldn't get registration plates because he didn't have proof of insurance, so he'd switched the plates to something else from another vehicle. He was nervous, he was erratic the entire time, and showed signs of being manifestly under the influence of drugs. He didn't fail field sobriety tests because once the officer asked him to do some, he became combative and non-compliant, refused any testing. and was taken into custody for DUI. And while en route to the police cruiser, he told the officer to go ahead and get the weed out of his console too. They found that amount of marijuana. They found another amount of drugs as well, some more marijuana and a pill grinder and a pill bottle. And after he was taken to custody, he had to be taken to Palmy Hall, and he too was irate, combative, and had to be subdued by authorities physically in the ambulance and at the medical center as well. Jeremy R. Birch at 42 of Paintsville, legal plates, DUI with an aggravating circumstance or contributor, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and disorderly conduct. Before I get to some highlights weather-wise, let me give you the rundown as to who's going on to state in the 15th region. As for girls fast-pitch softball, it was Saturday's championship between Lawrence County and Pikeville, and the ladies from Pikeville would take the win and take the trip to state. 6-3 your final score. They will face Clay County this Thursday at Jack C. Fisher Park. That is set for a 5 o'clock first pitch. As for the boys in the 15th region, it came down to Paintsville and Central. Not much of a surprise there. It came down to a 4-hour rain delay separating the first and the last of the game. But when it was all said and done, it was Paintsville 5 runs, Central 2. Paintsville going on to the state tournament later this week. They will play at the Whitaker Bank Ballpark Friday afternoon, 1:30, taking on Christian County. And if the weather continues as it's going to be, they're going to have some great conditions to play in. Because it's going to be pretty much the same scenario for most all of Kentucky. That certainly includes us. I mean, gorgeous. Would you take it every day out of the 365 if you could get it? I hear a majority of yeses out there. Lows of 51 tonight expected. Mostly clear skies. Look for a little patchy fog after 1, maybe lingering to about 8 or 9 tomorrow. 81 degrees. A little fog in the morning, as I said. Sunshine thereafter. We've got another front rolling through tomorrow night. Just gives us a glancing shot of some showers to the tune of about 20%. This is mainly after 11 or 12 o'clock tomorrow night and during the overnight, and gone before you know it under your Wednesday. We will see the effect of a little bit of a cooler condition outside. Air getting down back to the upper 70s, around 77 degrees, but still dry, clear, low humidity, beautiful. So 77, 51 after the front goes through, mostly sunny, mostly clear. And it will remain picture perfect through Thursday at 82 and sunny and clear. Nighttime lows still in the 50s. Friday, we get back up to the mid-80s, 87, 63, sunshine, partly cloudy. Your weekend, our luck might run out for the weekend. I'm not going to stress too much about it right now because it's the weekend and it's days away. But Saturday right now, even though it's mostly sunny, we've got a 20 to maybe 40% chance of showers by Saturday night. 86 degrees, and nighttime lows will also increase. And then shower chances maybe also in the forecast for your Sunday as well. Not a bad Saturday at all. Maybe not a bad Sunday yet. We're still a little far out, but certainly can't find anything prettier than now through Friday. And that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I hope you get a chance to enjoy a little bit of what's been a beautiful day and the rest of your evening, and we hope to see you back here tomorrow night for more Your News Today. Thanks for watching.